Hi everybody, in this demo I'll be showing you guys how to make chocolate ganache. So this is a classic chocolate ganache. It only takes 2 ingredients, heavy cream and semi-sweet chocolate. So this is the classic ratio of 1:1 for this ganache. The recipe does call for liqueur to be added in. That can definitely be omitted. That is something that is just purely your preference if you would like to add that in. I'm gonna stick with just the cream and the chocolate. So I'm starting by bringing this cream to a boil. The ganache, when we talk about the 1:1 ratio, that only holds true for if you are using semi-sweet chocolate. So I'm using semi-sweet chips. Definitely you would get a better product if you're using higher quality chocolate like couverture chocolate, which is used for tempering and truffles and chocolate decor and things like that. But for us to use just for a glaze for our eclairs, this is the perfect chocolate for that. So just gonna get this up to a boil. If I wanted to substitute a chocolate, and let's say I wanted to make a milk chocolate or a white chocolate ganache, there are additional sugars and milk powder in those lighter chocolates, so you have to end up adding more chocolate. So instead of us having a 1:1 ratio, we would have maybe 1.5 parts chocolate to 1 part of cream. So as soon as this comes to a boil, I'm going to immediately take it off the heat and I'm going to pour it in 1 step over my chocolate. Okay, because I am using the chips, these are the perfect size for me making my ganache. If you were using block chocolate, you would definitely want to chop that up into something that's no bigger than walnut sized pieces. The smaller you cut your chocolate, the faster that the heat from the cream can melt the chocolate, and the faster you'll get your ganache. So I'm going to start with just this small movement in the center. I want to avoid really stirring this rapidly because I'm going to incorporate air into this mixture and I'll end up with a drier ganache. I also don't want to use a whisk for that exact same reason. I wouldn't be incorporating too much air. So I'm just going to do small little stirs here in the center. One other thing you could do would be to use an immersion blender. Because that blender is completely submerged when you use it, you don't incorporate air. So if I'm doing a huge batch of ganache, an immersion blender is a really great tool to use because it's extremely efficient in getting that chocolate broken down. It makes it beautiful and creamy and smooth without incorporating any air. But since I'm doing just a nice small batch of ganache here, I'm not gonna worry about having to use extra tools like that. So just using my rubber spatula is enough. And letting that cream sit on that chocolate for about 30 seconds to a minute really is helpful, and sort of letting that heat start to penetrate that chocolate, and it'll actually give you a little easier time as you are stirring this. So once you see that you have no lumps, you are done with the ganache. So this consistency that it is right now, it's still actually quite warm. So I would actually want to let this cool a little bit before I would ever use it to glaze my eclairs. 110 to 120 is our happy temperature, and I can just tell just by feeling this bowl, it's way above that temperature right now. So I'm going to let this cool down to that temperature. Alternately, you can definitely have this made ahead of time, and you can just have it cool down. You can leave it at room temperature overnight, or you can keep it in the refrigerator up to 2 weeks, and then you can just reheat it over a double boiler or in the microwave to bring it up to the working temperature that you need. And that is our chocolate ganache.